Welcome to today's Virtual Market Open, where we celebrate the latest issuer to join the Canadian Securities Exchange. Join us as we count down to the market open and stay to learn more about the latest listing on the exchange for entrepreneurs. Together, we'll count down to the market open, and this will be followed by an interview with a company executive. Congratulations on being newly listed on the CSE Exchange. And today I'm here with Nick Kadysh, founder and CEO of Pharmala Biotech. Nick, how are you doing? And welcome to the show.
Great, man. I'm great. Very good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Can you tell us what it is your company does?
Sure. Well, our ticker symbol is MDMA, which is pretty evocative because that's what we do. So we basically do two things right now. We manufacture clinical grade MDMA. We have the only clinical grade MDMA value chain in North America. And we sell to people who are doing clinical trials. And then we are very busy researching and developing the next generation of MDXX compounds. So analogs of MDMA with a focus on reducing their neurotoxicity, reducing their cardiotoxicity, and reducing the incidence of adverse events associated with these medications.
No, that sounds like really, really cool stuff.
Thanks.
And before you arrived here at your current role, you have a pretty varied background and a lot of experience. Can you just go into that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Look, I've spent the last decade or so as a lobbyist in various roles in healthcare. So I've worked at big companies like Red Bull, General Electric, Juul Labs, usually as head of public policy or head of public affairs, which is really a fancy way of saying government relations. So I and frankly, the majority of our team, we picked out people who have a background in regulatory. Now, our really closely held belief is anyone who's in this space, you need to have expertise in regulatory. And if you don't, you're not going to be successful because it's a highly regulated space. So I was talking to someone today and I described it as the following, like you can do anything you want in this company, right? You can be a head of sales, you can be doing marketing, you can be, our chief operations officer, but everyone has to have as a baseline an understanding of the regulatory environment they're in and a little bit of expertise in it. So I hope, and I think that that's what I really bring to the team is, the deepest possible understanding of the regulatory environment in which we operate.
No, it makes total sense. And, as an investor, if you're listening, these are the things that you want to hear.
I would hope.
It makes the job so much easier. Now, you touched a little bit on your team. Can you tell us or point out a few key members of your team?
Of course. So maybe I'll start off with our board. We've got a pretty great board of directors, starting with our board chair, Jody Butts. She's a very experienced corporate director. She sits on the board of Canada Goose and Afria. My COO, Shane Morris, former chief product officer at Aurora Cannabis. My head of research, Harpreet Kaur, recently of Tilray. So a few folks from cannabis. I have no cannabis experience. But look, whether it's the board, whether it's the management of the company, I would say that the vast majority of the folks that we have working on our files are devoted to a couple of sort of key principles. One is we really do believe in the ability of MDMA to treat a large number of mental health disorders, things for which we have no real treatment right now. We think it's going to be the first psychedelic, although it's technically not a psychedelic, it's going to be the first of the sort of psychedelic molecules that's going to get approved, which is why we're focusing so hard on it. And we're very confident that we have, we've developed some IP that nobody else has, right? Like that focus on toxicology and safety is really important to us. And I think we're one of the few companies that's looking there. So I will say, I think I'm the only person in the company who doesn't have a PhD on the management side. There's some non-PhDs on the board. But yeah, look, we've got a great group, and we're really excited to be listed down the CSE.
You know what? You actually touched on something interesting, and I brought this up in another conversation because we were talking about psychedelics, and everyone is like, "Oh, ketamine, that's the only thing that's legal." It's like, well, technically, it's not a psychedelic.
Technically, yeah, it's a dissociative, definitely.
Yes,
but look, technically, MDMA is an entactogen. It's not a psychedelic either. But at the end of the day, regardless of what we call it, I think it's an incredibly useful molecule, and we're really excited to be able to add to the scientific discourse and really bring these treatments to a large number of people.
Oh, Nick, that's very well said, and this is part of it. This is the education of, and we're taking the next step forward. Now, what's your differentiator? Outside of the regulatory aspect, what's the?
Yeah. Well, look, I think we have two right now. One for each of the business lines that we're sort of engaged in. On the generic manufacturer side, I think other than MAPS, we are the only ones who are manufacturing clinical grade MDMA all the way through sort of the value chain. We certainly, that I know of, we've got the only one in North America. So, we have a large number of partners that we work with, and we manufacture all the way through to clinical grade capsules, which are all manufactured in GMP. And with that, we can basically, we can supply any clinical trial anywhere on the planet with MDMA. That means that we can get cash flow today. We don't have to wait until tomorrow, right? We don't have to commercialize any other products. And it's something that we have that nobody else has. On the novel product side, or the other half of the business, I mean, again, I think we're the only ones who are really, really focused on the safety side. Everyone's really, really focused on efficacy, right? Like, what can these molecules do? How do they do it? And what treatments can we treat, right? But the way we came to this was we sort of said, well, look, maybe we can make the base molecules safer. And if we can do that, number one, regulators will love it. I have enough regulatory background to vouch for that. Regulators love safety. But number two, we can work with a bunch of other companies to prove out the efficacy of these molecules for a wide range of disorders. But if you don't have the safety part down first, you're not going to go as far. So those are, I think, the two differentiators: our focus on safety, which comes from our regulatory background, and the fact that we're already up and running with the only GMP clinical grade value chain for MDMA in North America.
Oh, that's great. Now, what would investors have to look forward to in the next 6 to 12 months?
In the next 6 to 12 months, the results of our preclinical research recently announced at the University of Arkansas School for Medical Sciences. We've got a great researcher there named Bill Fantagrossi, well-known researcher in this space. Tough to get him, but he was very intrigued by what we're working on. So the results of our preclinical research getting published, for sure. It's going to be a major tentpole on the novel chemical entities side. And then I hope to be able to announce several of the names of the trials that we are supplying for MDMA over the next 6 months. And eventually folks will be able to see our financials and see, how much money we've made from supplying them.
Well, Nick, I just want to say on behalf of the Canadian Securities Exchange, I want to say thank you, not only for your listening, but also taking the time to educate myself and educate the audience about your very, very memorable ticker symbol.
Thanks very much.
And for our audience, if you like this and want to hear more content, please check us out on www.thecsc.com. As well, we're on YouTube under CSE TV. And you can find us on the other socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you for being here and for joining us on another newly listed clip episode. And today I was here with Pharmala Biotech and its founder and CEO, Nick Kadysh. See you on the next episode.
Thanks so much, man. Cheers.
Thank you.